What's up, bro? In this video, I'll talk about why I am bullish on MZ stock and why I bought some more yesterday. We'll look at some history of this stock, how it performed versus other YieldMax ETFs versus the market versus SPY, QQQ, and what's in the future for this stock. And also, I want to compare it to kind of like the other, the new and shiny ETFs from YieldMax and why I chose MZ versus those new fancy ones. Okay, so bro, before we begin, this video is not a financial advice. I just kind of voice my opinion, and I use this tool, YieldMaxTracker, that I developed to see the trades, the holdings of all these YieldMax ETFs to make my own buying decisions. So don't follow me into these trades. I just kind of share my opinions. So second, bro, I would love you if you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. It really motivates me to make more videos. It helps the channel grow. We're almost at 3,000 subs. Let's take it to 10,000. I would really appreciate that. So with that said, I'll kind of go a little bit slow to explain certain things. So this video will be a little bit on the longer side, but I want to kind of cover this in depth because it's not just 1 month, dividend predictions. This is more like an overall holistic view at this fund. Okay, so here we're looking at the current state of this fund. It declares in about 8 days, so 1 full week in next week of trading, and then tomorrow Friday, so basically 8 trading days. They are sitting currently on $2.45 total P&L, so profit per share, and that means that if we take out the cash, that means the fund is worth $13.50, give or take. Okay, but so as far as dividend estimate for this week, it's really early. We're still like 8 days away, but the estimator shows 81 cents through $1.18. Now, I just made another video where I covered Group B, nvdy, Platy, and Phoebe, and mostly I wanted to kind of reflect because this just kind of materialized. This thought just materialized. So they are not going to pay this full amount, the money that they made in the cycle. Here's why. Let's look at their synthetics. They are sitting on $220 synthetic, which expires in September, so 2 months from now. They just rolled that, so a lot of this earnings is from the synthetic roll. Okay, I don't remember how much they actually made in the cycle from actual trades. So bro, I'm cutting the video here because I was trying to figure out how much they made from synthetics versus non-synthetics, and basically the answer was staring at me right here. We have this summary, trade summary section, and basically here is everything summarized. They made $43 million from synthetic roll, and on the rest of the trades they basically made like $1.45 million, and yeah, so like I said, most of the money they earned from the synthetic roll. I think most of these earnings, or a lot of it, was from synthetic roll. So if they pay out, let's say $2 right now, and they do not make much money, or let's say synthetic, or let's say Amazon runs away from them, they would have to roll just to rescue the runaway positions, the short sells. And so basically they don't have a lot of flexibility on the synthetic. They try to keep it until expiration and just roll it a couple days or maybe a week before expiration. So this was a July 18th synthetic position, and they rolled it forward by 2 months. They collected a bunch of money because I think it was 185 synthetic at the time. So they collected $35 per share, and times this number of contracts. So it was a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of flexibility with the synthetic for the next 2 months. And that's what I think happened to Platy. Like, they were sitting on $10 earnings for the whole cycle, all right, but they rolled their synthetic also to September 19, and now they're sitting on $140 synthetic. And if we look at current cycle, they're actually down. So for the most part, they'll be, if they lose money on the short calls, they'll be taking a loss. And so this cycle on Platy might actually be not so pretty, especially that we have earnings probably within this cycle before the declaration. So they might get caught. Maybe Palantir runs to like, bro, it's already $154. This is ridiculous. It was $65 like 3 months ago. Now it's 154. Okay, but let's not talk about Palantir. Basically, they don't have a lot of flexibility with the synthetic, and the same situation with MZ, same situation with Phoebe. Why they only paid 50 cents when they actually made $1.41 for the cycle? They all rolled their synthetics forward, and while they made the cash, I think they're preserving it for potential, short weekly losses going forward. So I think MZ will pay about slightly under $1. I think probably 80 cents, 90 cents. Now, initially I was thinking like more than $1, but now, come to think about, I think they'll pay close to like the lower end of this range, which would still be nice. I mean, it would still be like 65 or more percent yield, which is very nice for this fund. The IV is like 34%, and the IV estimate is 42 cents. So even if they pay like 80 something cents, that would be really nice. They might even pay less, looking at what happened to Phoebe, what happened to Platy this week. So yesterday, I don't think they'll pay a super high dividend estimate, but that's beside the point. So why am I bullish on this stock? Okay, and for that we kind of need to look at Amazon. It's not just the stock itself, it's also the underlying. Okay, so let's take a look here. I have preloaded AMZY versus Amazon stock itself, and you can see since the inception of AMZY, they're basically neck and neck. Okay, the returns are within a couple of percent, and since the inception, bro, so this fund started trading, it's going to be 2 years in a week. Okay, so during that time, during 2 years, you've already, if you invested in the beginning, let's say you put in 10,000 bucks, so that's basically 500 shares in the beginning of the when it started trading, and you dripped, you reinvested your dividend, you have collected more than you invested. So if you put in 10 grand, you have collected in dividends $10,700. Okay, so at this point the fund is fully paid for. Yeah, sure, there is like, you know, tax implications, you got to pay taxes on this, but it's basically, if this is, for example, in tax sheltered account, it's an ATM machine. So at this point it's fully paid for, and it's printing cash every month, and the forward dividend yield is sitting at 47%, no, 48%, and that's based on the 60-cent dividend, 59-cent dividend that they paid last cycle. So over here you can see the dividends, 59 cents, and they're sitting on a forward yield of 48% based on today's price and that dividend. Now this yield here, this is kind of calculated on the fly, year-to-date yield, not forward. Anyway, so in my opinion, it's just like a great and a very stable fund that doesn't really, I am personally not worried that it will collapse. Okay, like, yeah, it may go up a little bit, it may go down a little bit. If there's a big market crash, it will go down significantly, at which point I am now putting together cash. I'm not dripping, I'm building up a position, because like the market is super hot right now, and there might be like a cool off. There's typically a cool off in August and September. And especially last 3 years, bro, August, September gave us amazing sales. So this is again not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. I did pick up a few more shares. I basically increased my AMZY position by like 60%, but it was a small position to begin with. Not small, but not huge. But I am basically hoping that we do have a market crash. Not crash, but like a decent size correction, so I could buy more of these and other stocks. And so I'm putting together cash, I'm setting it aside. Like every day portfolio goes up by 1.5%, 2%, and it's beginning to scare me a little bit. I mean, it's not very nice that it's growing, but those gains are unrealized. So back to AMZY and Amazon. So Amazon is a company that's like not going anywhere, and in my opinion, it has an amazingly bright future. Like they just had a Prime Day, okay, and they beat the record by 40% during their prime sale. But that's, you know, neither here nor there. They're not making a lot of money as far as actual profit from selling on Amazon.com. Where they make their money, if we look over here at Amazon stock, they make, oh, we have to scroll down a lot. This is expenses. Oh crap, we don't have. Oh, I gotta fix this thing. Sorry, bro, I'm scrolling around a lot. But let's take a look at a single stock view. I gotta update the compare stock view. So here I'm scrolling down because I want to show you the here the revenue by segment. Okay, so we have the web services, which is AWS, Amazon Web Services. So that thing is growing like crazy every year. And we have another business they have is advertising. So all those sales on Amazon.com, they get more money from advertising than the profit they make from Amazon.com itself. So you can see $14 billion in revenue from advertising and almost $30 billion in revenue from AWS. So the online stores revenue is 57, but that's revenue because that does not include cost of goods. However, advertising is basically like 90% margin on advertising, and AWS is also a hugely insane margin. I would assume it's like 40, 50, 60% margin. I gotta look at their earnings report, but so their most profitable services are growing very significantly. And so I just see bright future for Amazon. All this AI expansion, AI is not going anywhere, and they will be doing just fine. And I think they'll have a pretty decent quarter. Their cash position grows. Their you see their stock-based compensation is not growing significantly in the last couple of years. It's kind of stabilized since the COVID. And so I'm just like bullish on Amazon.com, on Amazon stock. And to be honest with you, it's not really like at peak. Like, look, the peak was 242. So we're not at all-time highs. We still have ways to go. And right now, a big kind of roadblock for Amazon is still the Chinese tariffs. Those are not resolved. We gotta wait until August 1st for like some either more, deferral of the tariffs, or maybe they'll make a deal. And so that kind of affects the Amazon stock. But I think once the tariffs go away, it will make all-time highs. And so that will also push AMZY stock up. You can see if we compare, well, no, you cannot see it here, but if we compare total returns, when Amazon goes up, AMZY also follows. Like, yes, Amazon goes up more, but then, when Amazon goes down, AMZY goes down less. So it's not as steep a fall and not as steep a rise, but basically they're keeping up. And this is actually a pretty interesting predicament, that this is one of the few stocks in YieldMax portfolio, bro, that kind of keeps up with the underlying. Now, with that said, I'm bullish on Amazon. I'm bullish on US economy. Yes, we might have a correction, maybe even like a recession, but I'm not in this market for a year or for 6 months or for 2 months. I'm in it for long haul. So if there is a sale like we had during Trump tariffs in April, bro, that was such an amazing buying opportunity. Like, I'm so glad I was buying. Like, yes, it was scary. Yes, like it feels like the floor is falling out from underneath you. And like, I wasn't even scared of the tariffs, but just like the whole market was collapsing, all the institutions and hedge funds were selling, and that put pressure on the stocks. And yet I kind of like was buying the dip, and then the dip was getting deeper, and I was still buying. And yeah, I'm glad I did, because since April lows, my account is up more than 110%. Like, it was a steep drop, bro, don't get me wrong. I was down very significantly, but since then it recovered nicely. And I see great future for Amazon itself, and AMZY, in my opinion, will do just fine. Like, it provides a very consistent 40-50% yield, and it beats the market too. Let's take a look at AMZY versus the market. Where do I have this? Come on, I have too many things open. Okay, so this is our 6-way compare tool. So we have SPY as like the benchmark, and then you can put in 5 stocks of your choosing and compare. You can see since the inception of AMZY, bro, check it out. It beat the stock market by almost 100%, well, by 80%, give or take. So SPY in the same time returned 41%, and then AMZY returned 71% since the inception. That's total return, because they return basically 100% with distributions, and then the stock is slightly down from the inception. So that's 71% in 2 years. I think it's very nice. 30% CAGR, compounded. Actually, here we have the CAGR calculation, 31% a year. That's a very nice return. And when, in my opinion, Amazon will pump, it will make all-time highs. This is what I think this year. So AMZY will follow, and the dividends will follow also. And look at that. Even QQQ, the tech index, up 50. Let's call it 50%, 49% in 2 years. AMZY is still beating the QQQ, and total dividends since inception. Basically, if you invested 10 grand, your total dividends are $10,700, and yeah, so it's doing great. And so why am I choosing AMZY versus Ulti? Like, people are going crazy over Ulti. Let's take a look. At, I loaded msty. Bro, everybody was like into Misty. Everybody wanted Misty, but check this out. The shares outstanding are actually going down. And that forces them to kind of close their synthetic position. I mean, it's nicely in the money each time they close the synthetic. They make a chunk of money, but people are selling out of Misty, and they are flowing into Ulti. Check this out, bro. This is like insane. In April, there were 38 million shares, okay, and now there is 225 million shares. It's completely insane. So everybody's jumping into Misty, and right now Misty is doing quite well. We can see it over here. Let's do Misty. So Misty, no, not Misty, Ulti. Everybody's jumping into Ulti. Let's see how Ulti did in the. So I think the lows for it was April 8th, give or take. So let's compare since April 8th. Just Ulti, AMZY, and the SPY. Okay, so MZ and SPY kind of performed about the same since the lows on April 8th. Okay, and then ALTI did tremendously well. They're up 47% since the lows. But if we look at longer duration, I have too many things open. Okay, let's do ALTI, and what else are we gonna do? Let's do NVD. No, let's just do ALTI, but we'll go as far back as possible. Let's go 2 years. It will cut off from like the inception of the earliest fund. So ALTI came out in February 24, so just about over a year. And let's look at this, bro. In the same period, MZ is up. Where are we? 26, 27%, but ALTI is up only 16, 17% since its inception. And what happens is when the market is going up, ALTI is great. All the stocks are, rising, and they're cashing in, and they're paying dividends, and all that good stuff. But check this out: they have blended IV of 80.1%. That's like combined IV for all the holdings they have. And I already preloaded these holdings. I opened them up. Look at this: 130%, 83%, STS 100%, IV 92, 85. So I have color coded them. If the IV of a stock is below the average or blended IV, then it's like this darker green. If it's above, then it's this bright fat green. Okay, and if the IV is below 50%, it's this dark, it's the black color. Okay, so most of their holdings are like this bright green fat. They're completely insane. But what happens to them when market crashes? Check this out: what happens to them? ALTI was down 23%, 20% with all the distributions they paid. Okay, and if you look at price, I'm not gonna look for the price. I have too many tabs open. But basically, since January 1st, when ALTI was like, let's call it $9, it dropped to 523 at the lowest. So that's like 40% drawdown. And at the same time, they were also buying puts. So they were like protecting their holdings with the puts. They were still down 40% in 4 months. Okay, so yeah, the ALTI is doing great when the market is up, and I think it will continue going up. I mean, it will do great. But that's the reason I'm choosing MZ, because the market doesn't always go up. We're at all-time highs right now, but I think there will be a correction. I think it will be in August or September after the earnings. And so at that time, if we do have a correction, all these stocks, all these ALTI holdings that are 80% IV, they'll crash. That's what's going to happen. And then the NAV on ALTI will also crash. And another thing, ALTI is making money basically on selling stocks. They're not profitable on their options trades. And there was an interview with Jay Petruccelli. He is the manager of YieldMax, and like he said something very interesting. I still have to kind of like think about it, but he said he's happy when the price of the underlying blows through the strikes on the short calls. I have to kind of analyze that statement, but if we look at ALTI, they're basically making money on the stocks that they hold, because those stocks keep going up. But on their options trade, they're not making money. And so what happens in the down market? There'll always be down market. Like, yes, it feels like everything is up like crazy. Robinhood is 106 today, and Palantir is 154, and you feel like Palantir is going to $200 in 2 months. But eventually, that will stop. Eventually, there will be a correction, and all those high beta stocks, they all crash just as strong as they go up. So, in my opinion, MZ is just like a reliable, ATM machine. Where are we? Oh, let's close this guy, close this guy, close this guy. And yeah, I mean, anyway, it is up since inception, 71%. So now here I compare MZ, Phoebe, and Nefli. And interesting thing, Nefli is doing the best out of them. Phoebe is doing better. No, actually, yeah, Phoebe is like number 2. Then MZ, significantly lower return than Phoebe, and then SPY is lower than MZ. But anyway, MZ beats the SPY, provides really nice, yield of almost 50%, and it's just like consistent, reliable. And that's, I do have some ALTI, but not heavy, because I've been buying ALTI since it was like $17, $18. And here right now, I finally broke even on that, probably even made like, 5% total return. But and I hope I hope it continues to do well. I hope the market stays up and ALTI kind of like returns all the losses. So all the original holders of ALTI kind of recoup their losses, and all the bros who are buying in right now. There's a guy on Reddit. He is buying like 5,000 shares a week. I mean, great, good for him. But the way I look at it, markets are not always green. like my personal portfolio has been going up for 2 weeks in a row, every single day. Maybe there was one red day, like minus 0.5%, but every single day it's up like 1% or 2%. It's completely insane. I mean, eventually it will stop. I don't know when. I'm basically stacking the dough to take advantage of a sale when it comes. In the meantime, I sold some puts on Oscar. Oscar was down significantly today. Elevance, or yeah, one of the other insurance companies kind of like made it go down even more, like 8% down. So I'm gonna sell some more puts, but that's a whole different conversation. For the long term, for the cash, for the ATM effect, I prefer AMZY. It's just reliable. I know I don't know. I never know, but Amazon is a very good stock. It's right now it's still depressed because of tariffs, uncertainty with China, because they do a lot of business with China. So that kind of doesn't help. But I think it kind of, once that resolves, in my opinion, they'll hit all-time high. So that's how I look at it, and that's why I like AMZY. So back to YieldMax yes, we're sitting on the gain 245, and most of that, and I can do the calculations, but I think most of that is from trading stock. Actually, no, bro, we have the summary here. Let's see. So the synthetics, they made 43 million on the synthetics, and out of total 44 million, they made 43 on the synthetics. So everything else, they basically made $1 million, 1.5 on everything else. So yeah, like I said, most of this money came from the synthetic, and whatchamacallit, so they don't have a lot of flexibility right now until September when they have to roll those strikes. So I don't think they'll pay like $1, but still, eventually they'll pay this money out, and hopefully by the time they have to roll it, the taxes or the tariffs kind of go away, and they can roll this from 220 to like 250, 260 when Amazon hits all-time high. So that's my thinking. Long term, I think this is a great stock, and it, for the most part, so far it kind of followed Amazon pretty closely. Like there's 2% difference between them. What does it say about Amazon? I don't know. I think Amazon has very bright future, and so I'm in both of them. All right, bro, thanks for watching. So this is my overall kind of deep dive on AMZY. I next want to make a video about YMAX, so another one of those, OG, not fancy YieldMax funds that I think is great. And so we'll talk about that. That's coming up. And if you want to see my new videos, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You can even click that bell notification to get notified when the videos come out. I'll try to make more of them. I was kind of busy with work, programming, and just fixing bugs and this and that. So I'll try to start making more videos. And yeah, bro, thanks for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. And if you want to get access to YieldMax, we run a 20% promotion right now for all the YouTube people, not on the website. On the website, it's not 20%, but for our YouTube subscribers, there's a link in the description for this video. Just click the link. It will apply the 20% coupon, and that's lifetime. You save 20% of the price. So yeah, give it a try. It's a 1-week free trial. So with that said, bro, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.